For a second time in a matter of months, government has rejected Patriotic Energies and Technologies' bid to acquire the former Petrotrin refinery. The announcement was made by Energy Minister Franklin Kann along with Finance Minister Colm Imbert during a media conference on Tuesday. Just short of a year and a half of negotiations, they said Patriotic could not satisfy all the requirements needed to finalize the sale of the refinery. Sunil Lalla reports.
They got stuck on their inability to raise the funds.
Finance Minister Colm Imbert explaining that Patriotic Energies no longer has exclusivity in the acquisition of the Guaracara refinery. In late October 2020, government announced that it had severed ties with Patriotic since it could not satisfy all requirements for the sale of the refinery. But the Prime Minister gave the wholly owned subsidiary of the OWTO a glimmer of hope when he formed a cabinet subcommittee to review the proposal. And now Mr. Imbert says after more than a year of negotiations, Patriotic did not have a guaranteed financer for the project.
They have engaged RBC, but RBC has estimated a timeline of 9 months with no certainty or guarantee of success to complete the financing. RBC has not committed any capital to this endeavor, and their involvement is solely as an advisor or leader agent. So the committee came to the conclusion that Patriotic has not demonstrated any ability to be able to raise the financing.
It essentially means that government will be returning to the open market for the sale of the assets and notes that Patriotic can submit a new proposal if it wants. Mr. Imbert says the process to restart requests for proposals will begin within the next month and hopes to find a new bidder in the shortest possible time. He is, however, dismissing any suggestion that government would restart the refinery if no one is forthcoming.
We don't intend to restart the refinery using taxpayers' funds. We don't intend to put any more of taxpayers' money into the refinery because it was losing billions of dollars every year. And really, as Minister Kann has pointed out, we've gone from a situation where the integrated company was losing billions to the heritage making billions together with Paria.
Meanwhile, Energy Minister Franklin Kann denies that the refinery is deteriorating.
Before the refinery was shut down, we pumped nitrogen through all the plants. Nitrogen is an inert gas, so to speak, so it stops corrosion and all those sorts of things. So the refinery has been safely put away in storage, so to speak.
Mr. Imbert says it is difficult to determine the current value of the refinery and says too much time has elapsed to engage the second bidder. Sunil Lalla, TTT News.
Rethink the decision. That's the statement from the Oilfield Workers Trade Union President General Ansel Roger to government following its announcement to re-engage the open market for sale of the Guaracara refinery. In a detailed media conference on Tuesday afternoon, Mr. Roger said Ministers Colm Imbert and Franklin Kann failed to point out Patriotic's response on Monday evening that it had the backing of a major international investment banking company. Sunil Lalla has more.
And not shut the door on us. So how could they, after knowing full well that we spent all of this money, they mislead us and they close the door?
A concerned OWTU President General Ansel Roger on government's decision to conclude any negotiation with Patriotic Energies. Mr. Roger cleared up why Patriotic only sought financing from RBC in October 2020 prior to the deadline set forth by government. He said due to government's offer of a moratorium on payments a year prior, Patriotic disengaged its financer Citigroup since an upfront payment was no longer needed.
It's not our fault, Trinidad and Tobago. We have the money to restart it. We accepted their offer in good faith. We accepted their offer, Minister of Finance. But the offer was not true, it was not whole, it was not wholesome, it could not stand.
Mr. Roger, though, said after an email was sent to Patriotic on Monday evening on its impending decision to seek other investors, Patriotic stated in a reply that it did have the backing of another major banking group that already did business with Petrotrin.
And may I remind you that Credit Suisse is the bank, an international bank, that arrange all of their financing and so on.
The OWTU President General stated that the only reason Patriotic had to engage RBC was due to a problem identified by government with respect to the lien of the asset.
But that is a matter of fact that the bondholders are not prepared to let go these assets in an arrangement such as what the government would have offered. And that we now trying to get around that, that is how the 500 million came up.
Mr. Roche reaffirmed the Patriotic's commitment for the restart of the refinery and noted that it has a solid proposal with the backing of a major international banking company to solve any challenges. He stated that the refinery continues to deteriorate despite assurances by the ministers and wants the Prime Minister to intervene to complete the Patriotic refinery acquisition process. Sunil Lalla, TTT News.
Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissassa says Tuesday's press conference with Minister of Finance Colm Imbert and Minister of Energy Franklin Chan only raises more questions than answers. In a media release, the opposition leader asked if Patriotic Energies had no set means of financing, on what basis did the government award them the refinery in the first place? She said it is clear now that all these pre-election promises by the government to place the refinery in the hands of the citizens were just baseless election gimmicks. Mrs. Persad-Bissassa further stated for the past 2 years, the PNM kept promising the restarting of the refinery in the hands of the ex-workers. But since 2018 to date, they have given nothing but excuses, keeping the OWTU and the ex-workers in a constant state of uncertainty.